What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and today we have heard from the White House regarding the size of the infrastructure bill, and we've also heard from progressives as well. This is your stimulus check update and your stimulus package update. Now, here is why this is extremely important, because the way that Congress does this is they do not just take provisions like, say, we need a child tax credit and a stimulus check, we need free tuition, free childcare, throw it all in and then get the total and say this is the amount for the infrastructure bill. That's not how they do it. This is how they do it. They determine what is the overall budget that we can spend, and then they put the provisions in and see how much they can fit in there and what amounts they can allocate to each provision. So they start off with the overall budget. So let's just say for stimulus checks, the third stimulus check that was for $1,400 per person and dependents, that one was $400 billion. So if they decide that the stimulus package, this infrastructure bill, can only be $1 trillion, well, $400 billion, that's almost half of the entire stimulus package, and they may determine we have all these other provisions that we want to include that we think are higher priority, and it might push out the stimulus checks. However, let's say they go with a $6 trillion stimulus package like we heard Senator Bernie Sanders pushing for and Chuck Schumer, an extremely large, massive, the largest we've seen. Well then, a $400 billion stimulus check provision, that becomes a significantly smaller portion of an overall package. So you can see that when they determine the overall size, that can really determine what provisions are going to be included. Now, whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to let you guys know, but know that right now, as of today, Congress, the Senate, is back in session, and there is a lot of debate going on. And we heard from progressives who said that they would sink the bipartisan bill if they didn't get their reconciliation deal in there. We're going to be hearing from AOC, who says that she wants to see a massive spending bill for reconciliation and human infrastructure, which means provisions for people. That means money in your pockets, more stimulus. And we also heard from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who they said is dodging the question as to how big this infrastructure bill is going to be. Now, we're going to be diving into the video footage of Jen Psaki here in just a second. We're going to circle back to her, but before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. If you like and appreciate these updates, don't forget to take a second to smash that like button. I appreciate it. It helps out the channel. Also, leave your comments and share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. And if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date on all this stuff going on, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. I'll be sure to keep you up to date on everything happening with stimulus, Congress, the economy, anything having to do with money. And if you got any specific questions that you want me to answer, be sure to shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. That's the best way to reach me. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in. This is all unfolding right now today. This is this video footage from the White House that just came out a little while ago, so you can hear the latest as of today, July 12th, regarding what's happening with stimulus and the infrastructure bill. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
I wanted to just check in on what the president's legislative priorities right now. For the reconciliation bill, they need to pass a budget resolution.
Yeah.
Seems to be still pretty stark divides between, Bernie Sanders, who's running the budget committee in the Senate, and some of the more moderate senators. So I'm wondering, has the White House decided on a number that they want for that bill? And if not, or if you can't express one right now, how confident are you, since we're continuing to see this divide as we get later into July, that you're going to be able to bridge that gap by leadership or schedule for this?
Well, first, back in April, when the president said we would move forward on two tracks, that we would seek a bipartisan agreement on infrastructure, and that we would work with Democrats on a budget reconciliation process that included key components of the American Families Plan, there was some skepticism about the possibility of that moving forward, and that's a diplomatic definition of how their broad reaction was. That's exactly what is happening now, and in our view, this is how the legislative process works. Our policy making muscles have atrophied over the last few years. This is exactly what it looks like. It's messy at times, and we fully expect that these negotiations will have ups and downs. We're prepared for that. We're going to be closely engaged. The president will be talking with, engaging with, inviting down members to have discussions as needed through this process. But we've already seen speculation that our agenda was dead be disproved over the last several days, and we're going to continue to work in close coordination with members moving forward. Now, I will say that as it relates to the budget reconciliation process, that of course is for members of the Senate to work through what they can all collectively support together to get enough votes. The president will continue to advocate for components of his Build Back Better agenda, the American Families Plan, components he's laid out in his budget, and pieces of his American Jobs Plan that were not included in the bipartisan package. Those will be his priorities as he's having these discussions with Chairman Sanders and others who are leading this process.
Speaking of that bipartisan bill and maybe some of the messiness, there's a meeting tomorrow to sort of hammer out the final details now that the Senate's coming back. Is the White House going to be involved in that meeting at all? And what's your level of confidence at this point that, obviously there were some missteps after the deal was announced that threw it into a bit of peril? How confident are you that this is going to move forward in the next couple days?
We expect there to be some significant ups and downs, but we are ready for it. We're bracing for it. We're also ready for it. And we're going to remain very closely engaged at every level in these discussions. In terms of the specific meeting, I believe we'll be directly involved in some level, but I can check and see if there's more specificity.
Are there any meetings between the president and lawmakers this week that you can preview specifically on this?
There will be, but I don't have anything I can preview in this moment, but we'll see if there's more we can provide. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Well, there you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree with that article from The Hill saying that right there, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was actually dodging the question? Do you think that she doesn't want to reveal the information, or do you think that the information isn't there yet, that Congress is still working on it and they don't have an overall package number yet? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But we did hear her say that President Joe Biden is going to be involved in negotiations, and he's going to be focusing on getting his agenda from the Build Back Better plan, the overall recovery plan, and also focusing on getting that American Families Plan provisions included that he wants to see. And that's going to be provisions that provide stimulus to people. So we're going to be seeing what unfolds here. I'll be sure to let you guys know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But now let's dive into this article from The Hill and read what it has to say. And as always, link in the description below if you'd like to read along with me. Jumping down in the article, it says that Sanders, who has said that Democrats are considering a measure that could cost $6 trillion, and that is by far the largest we have ever heard of. He has said that he will not support a $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill without a larger measure that Democrats could pass without any Republican votes. Now, Democratic leadership is pursuing a two-track system to pass the bipartisan infrastructure deal and a separate bill through the budget reconciliation. Now, we're going to be seeing if that's going to be unfolding, but what they're saying is that first portion for bipartisanship, if they don't also have the second portion for human infrastructure ready through reconciliation, Bernie Sanders is saying he's not going to support it. Now, also jumping down, it says that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has vowed to take up both the bipartisan bill and the budget resolution, which would pave the way for a larger Democratic measure before the Senate starts its August recess. So they got to get this done before they go on recess, and then they want to have it passed in September. Now, reading on, it says Psaki said that Biden will be engaged with lawmakers during the negotiation process and invite members of Congress to the White House for discussions as needed. When asked how confident the White House was on the bipartisan infrastructure deal passing the Senate, Psaki said, "We're ready for it." Now, the bipartisanship bill, it will require the support of at least 60 senators in the 50-50 Senate split. Progressives have raised concerns about voting for legislation unless there's a guarantee of the passing of the larger reconciliation bill. And we've heard this again today, also from AOC. And we've heard this from Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. We heard it from President Joe Biden, but he kind of backpedaled those words and said that he wasn't actually going to be holding that ultimatum for the GOP. But now let's take a look at this video footage that we have of AOC saying this exact thing. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Representative, I wanted to ask you about the infrastructure and the developing agreement between Democrats and Republicans on infrastructure, the concerns of you and other members of the Progressive Caucus about what is going to happen to efforts to combat climate change in these battles over infrastructure?
Well, I believe that the Progressive Caucus is rather united in the fact that we will not support bipartisan legislation without a reconciliation bill and one that takes bold and large action on climate, drawing down carbon emissions, but also job creation and increasing equity and resilience for impacted communities, particularly frontline communities. And so we've made that very clear, and that a bipartisan agreement will not pass unless we have a reconciliation bill that also passes. And so that is where we've drawn a strong line. And I believe that Speaker Pelosi, the White House, and Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have taken that threat quite seriously. They know that we fully intend on acting out on that if a reconciliation bill does not come to the floor of the House. And we have there's many different actions that we need in a climate bill for reconciliation, whether it's a civilian climate corps, whether it is increased infrastructure and investment in rail and mass transit, and whether it's also centering frontline Indigenous, Black and Brown and low-income communities that are polluted on and often experience the greatest brunt and will be experiencing the greatest brunt of climate change related infrastructure failures.
So there you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, as we just heard from AOC. And it looks like we literally have a House divided. Congress is divided on this, but not just Republicans and Democrats. Also within the Democratic Party, it looks like progressives and moderates are disagreeing on the provisions that should be included and the amounts. Now, this is all happening right now at a rapid pace. I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date as more information rolls out, but I wanted to share this with you as this is just coming out today on the infrastructure bill and provisions and the two parts. And once again, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And if you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash that like button, leave your comments, share this out. Like I said, I'll be sure to keep you up to date. And if you want to stay up to date on it, don't forget, come and join the viewing community, join the RAM fam, smash the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I'll keep you up to date right away. If you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. And with that being said, you guys, I hope this reaches you well. I'll be sure to keep you up to date. I'll catch you in the next video, always 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and other videos randomly, sporadically as news comes out. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.